Let's talk to Laura Trott, Shadow Secretary for Education. Laura, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, we're obviously having quite a heated conversation today, as we have been for the last few days, about what went wrong, who's to blame, the grooming gang situation. I mean, there's going to be a bill to be debated today about children's well-being, the Children's Wellbeing in Schools bill being introduced by Bridget Phillipson. We understand that Kemi Badenoch is going to try and make an amendment with which people could vote to get a second inquiry organised. Some people say an inquiry is not what's required. Keir Starmer says he's not going to have an inquiry. People are very angry that he doesn't seem to understand that we need answers on this.
I think the other thing that people are really angry about is that the Prime Minister smeared people who have a legitimate demand for an inquiry as far right, and that is completely unacceptable. It is understandable, given everything that's happened in this country, one of the biggest scandals of child grooming that we have ever seen, that people want to know the number of victims, the number of perpetrators, where this has happened, all the things brought together in one place. This has been an evolving picture. We know much more about it now than we have done, and it is important that we take every step that we possibly can to protect children up and down across the country.
I mean, because Elon Musk has kind of shaken the hornet's nest, if you like, and some of this has now become more widespread, and the knowledge of what happened has become more widespread, because I was shocked, I must admit, to read some of the accounts in recent days of things that happened which I didn't know about. I mean, can you say as an MP that you weren't aware of as much of the detail of this as you are now?
Well, it's absolutely horrific, and more has come to light over a number of years. Of course, we had the initial inquiry into Rotherham. There was then the independent inquiry on child sexual abuse, which was set up in 2014. Terms of reference were established in 2015. But then you had mass prosecutions across many towns across the country happening in the years after that, you know, as late as kind of 2019. So this has been an evolving picture, and it's why it's really important that we bring it all together in a national inquiry. And that's why I hope Labour MPs will do the right thing later today and vote for one.
And do you think that the reason why Keir Starmer doesn't want an inquiry is genuine? He says he doesn't need to have another inquiry because there was one, but the truth of the matter is that the J inquiry didn't really cover grooming gangs in the way that we could now do, because now much more is known about what actually happened. Do you think there's a party political sort of aspect to this?
Well, look, I don't want to give motives to him, but it's for him to argue his case. It's not to smear opponents of what he's thinking. And I think it's really important that we establish what exactly happened in each of the individual towns that we're talking about, because Labour's approach at the moment is to say that they want individual town-led inquiries, but there haven't been those across the country. As I said, there have been over 50 towns that we think have been affected by this, and there's only been inquiries in a handful of those. The J report covered grooming to a certain extent, but not in the amount of detail that we would want, and more information even since then has come to light. The Gangs Grooming Task Force was set up in 2023. In 1 year, so 2023 to 2024, there were 550 arrests about this, and 4,000 victims were protected. This is a serious issue, and it's absolutely legitimate that in response to this, we call for a national inquiry.
I was speaking earlier to a barrister on this show who's been involved in some of the cases of grooming and has defended or has represented several of the victims. She said that she didn't think an inquiry was necessarily the right way to go, but certainly a proper and official judicial investigation with criminal charges at the end of it, maybe a police investigation indeed as well, rather than an inquiry. I mean, would you say to Keir Starmer, if he is going to still dig his heels in, which he seems to like to do on these things, could you offer him an alternative and say, all right then, well, if you don't want to do another inquiry, how about a police investigation?
As I said, there's a legitimate policy debate to be put around this, but we think that the national inquiry is the right thing to do. That is why we're putting forward the amendment to the bill today, which, by the way, is a bad bill in many other ways.
Yes.
It, for example, effectively abolishes academies in all but name in this country, the driving horse behind school improvement in the last 2 decades, which have led to English children being the best at reading and at maths in the Western world. This is a really, really bad bill on the academy side as well. and we also want it to contain a national inquiry. So we're opposing this bill today on multiple grounds.
Yes, and I mean, there does seem to be, does there not, with this government, a kind of unfair haste to do certain things, and then an incredible kind of reticence to do other things. You know, for example, we heard about social care just the other day. They were going to improve that. They're now kicking that down the road for another 3 years. We're not going to really hear much about it. We're hearing this morning that people are waiting 50 hours in A&E, and all we hear from West Streeting is that, you know, sometime down the road in, 2029, you might be able to only wait 18 weeks to see a doctor. You know, there seems to be sort of, certain things they want to rush through, like the VAT on private schools, like this bill from Bridget Phillipson, and it seems to me to be very ideological the way they're running this government.
I completely agree. I mean, it is, I don't think, a sustainable position to say this is basically the only area of government where they don't want a review. But what you've seen in the education bill today is exactly that, an ideological viewpoint pushed forward on the basis of no evidence. They're absolutely not clear what problem they're trying to solve at all. The school system is one of the best in the Western world. It's been done because of the school improvement system that we've had in place in this country over decades. They're trying to unpick all of that. And for what? It's absolutely not clear, and we'll fight it all the way.
And meanwhile, the economy continues to sort of tank. We've got more words this morning that the cost of Britain's borrowing is at a 27-year high, so there might be more tax hikes coming. Rachel Reeves has gone very quiet, hasn't she, since last November, when her budget sort of fell flat on the floor. And everybody that's involved in financial business says it's a bad budget, and it's going to put prices up, and it's going to put people out of work, and it's going to cost the country even more money, and the gilt yields are off the scale. I mean, when is this all going to come home and be... Is there anything anybody can do?
Well, you put it very well. This has been a disastrous budget and a discredited budget, and one which is causing all kinds of problems with the economy at the moment. But what we need to do as Conservatives is to keep talking about why Labour are doing so badly, offering that alternative, so that when we eventually come to an election, we can get this awful government out and we can re-establish ourselves, because the Conservative Party is under new leadership, and we want to offer a credible alternative to this terrible government.
OK, Laura Trott, thank you. Good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Laura Trott, Shadow Secretary for Education.